Right, welcome to Rambling Achieved. Today, going to be doing another Xbox related topic, um, and kind of one that I'm really disappointed when they announced the closure of this, as it was one of the best things they've ever done. Which is of course, as you can tell from the title, the backwards compatibility program. Um, a really impressive initiative launched by Microsoft and Xbox into like the deeper years of the Xbox One's generation. Um, yeah, they knocked out a ton of titles, really important ones, both first party and third party. But they, of course, as with many things, they didn't get them all. And today is going to be me listing off the ones that, hopefully, if they ever do reignite the the program, they can pick up where they left off and add these hopefully to the service. And as you can see, what's been playing in the background, if you're familiar with the menus, this is Alpha Protocol, um, Obsidian's spy RPG, published by Sega, and it's one of them things where I adore this. I know many people adore this. However, it is really rough, and it always has been rough. So not only would it be amazing for it to get the backwards compatibility treatment for preservation purposes, being able to play it on modern hardware, but just being able to squeeze a little bit more out of this game, because it has chugging and frame rate dips and stutters and stuff like that on the 360, which you sit there and tolerate because the game is that good. And I'm just envisioning an alternate scenario where they were to backwards compat it and then it have all of the bells and whistles, because there's some games on the backwards compatibility program. A good example of this is like Red Dead Redemption, where it has a ton of like little tweaky upgrades, so it actually kind of functions almost as a remaster, more so than just being backwards compatible. And that's what I wish would happen to this. Not only that it gets added to the backwards compatibility program, but that they'd be able to upgrade it and have it realize its full potential. It's really unfortunate that we never got a sequel as well for this. I know it had a little bit of like a troubled development. Obsidian kind of struggling, as they seemingly always did before the acquisition of Microsoft, of just balancing their ambition and their budget in a good way. But yeah. So that'll be the first one. Right, up next, funnily enough, another Sega published title. I think this one is unfortunately never going to see the light of day. With, I think it was last year, Monolith Productions closed down, if I'm not mistaken. So the developer's gone. I don't know who owns the IP, where that landed, whether that's in the hands of Warner Brothers, Monolith themselves, where that went down with them, or if Sega owns it. I'm not sure how that kind of ended up. But this is Condemned 2. And what's really strange is that we got Condemned 1 into the backwards compatibility program, but we didn't get Condemned 2. It's a little bit disappointing, because these are really heavily underrated like horror experiences, but like they're very, it's strange that unlike anything else, like we had this and then we had Fear, and there's a lot of overlapping between them in the way it was kind of like psychological horror and very just, it oozes atmosphere. And we kind of got them games on the 360, and then nothing really kind of followed suit in its kind of design. It seemed like the big thing was third-person shooters and going into co-op and exploring open worlds more and more. So yeah, kind of like first-person brawling heavily, psychological horror games just kind of disappeared, and they never really reappeared. We've had like Resident Evil's new games kind of ever so slightly flirting with that, but yeah, it's just we're really missing this. We're missing this kind of design and this atmosphere, because I really really love my time spent with Condemned One. I thought it was very very unique, and it ran really damn well in the backwards compatibility program. So kind of unfortunate that we didn't get the sequel. Really unfortunate. Even more unfortunate to know that it's probably never going to be continued. You know, when these kind of studio closures happen and they have named IPs like this tied to them, they just kind of disappear. Stuff like The Getaway as another example, you know. So yeah, really really sad. Hopefully, though, this is obviously a more positive thing. Hopefully, if they ever do manage to revive the backwards compatibility program, we can get Condemned 2. Right, up next, Resonance of Fate. I don't know a ton about this game, as I've not personally played it, but it's one that I've looked at from the sidelines. Like, I own a copy. I'm going to play it one day. It's just one of them things where when they were announcing backwards compatible games, I was hoping that this would be one that they would do, and they unfortunately didn't. But it's just a really weird blend of just bizarreness. Um, its combat is unlike anything really I've ever seen in a game. It kind of like mixes Mad Max style, not Mad Max, sorry, Max Payne, bullet time style combat, but makes it even more over the top. Let me see if I can kind of fast forward to show you a bit of it. Because there'll be a lot of you that have probably seen the kind of combat. Yeah, here we go. It says acrobatic gun combat, and just look at this. It's so unique, so flashy, so stylish. I heard it's kind of obtuse as a game. I think they heavily thought outside of the box, and maybe it made the overall product suffer a little bit. But yeah, just a really bizarre blend of a bunch of different ideas that I would love to one day experience. And if this doesn't get backwards compatible, this will be one of the 360 games that I for sure go back and give a go, because yeah, like I said, it's kind of unlike anything I've really seen before, especially from a Japanese developer as well. You don't really see that kind of combat. So yeah, there is I think that's the third entry, and we'll go to the fourth now. Right, up next is Painkiller. I believe Hell and Damnation is what it was called. This is a really, really over the top shooter, similar veins to like Serious Sam and stuff like that. And they've rebooted the franchise recently. I ended up picking it up on sale over the holiday period, and I wasn't particularly impressed. Unfortunately, I didn't like what they had changed it into. It didn't feel like this game, because I've played about 2 hours of this, and it's just an over the top, like I said, very similar to like Serious Sam. But yeah, I didn't like the changes that they made, but you know, I get why they kind of rolled the dice with because it was like a Left 4 Dead style kind of co-op experience instead, whereas, you know, as I said, it was very Serious Sam coded, and just the weapon design and the enemy design and stuff like that. And we just don't really see gothic games like this all that much. You know, Warhammer's kind of always floating around nowadays. Thankfully, they're doing pretty well, but it's still kind of a rare, you know, setting to put a game into. So I'd love to see this get backwards compatted and actually get to finish it, because, like I said, I only played about a few hours of it, maybe 2 to 3 hours before having to hop out. But I really enjoyed my time with it. It's again, like, we saw a decent amount of these style of games, because you had the likes of Clive Barker's Jericho as well, with like the 360 era. And it's just weird to look back on where you see like oversaturation of stuff, and then we go to the complete opposite, where like stuff like this just it's just not really existent anymore, unfortunately. You see what's being tapped into now a lot is there's a lot of Japanese inspired games, which is great, of course, but you don't see stuff like this get made in abundance anymore. So would love to see this get greenlit into the backwards compatibility program. It had really satisfying combat as well, which I definitely miss. So yep, there's the next one. Alrighty, and to end it all off, with the one of the rare examples of a game being far superior than the movie it's based off of, and I think that kind of gives it away. I think everybody knows the amazingness that is X-Men Origins Wolverine. This game absolutely kicked ass, and I'm so glad. I believe it was Raven that made the game. I'm so glad that they pushed really hard to make sure that it was allowed to have gore in the game, because it allowed them to just craft an insanely good action game. Because if they had to sit there and just worry about, oh, we can't be too over the top here, it would have just hindered their creative juices that were just flowing en masse with this game. Yeah, just really unfortunate. I believe it's Activision published as well. I could be wrong. I don't think it was EA. I think it was Activision. And yeah, obviously we have Wolverine on PlayStation now, being made by Insomniac. So would be cool to have this be pulled from the depths, give it like a remaster or something. Yeah. Damn, 2009 it came out. It's insane. Yes, Activision. Whew. I really did love this game so much. Such an underrated gem, man. But again, kind of linking back to talking about how you saw like oversaturations with stuff, people definitely look back with fondness of this now. However, around its release, it didn't get like terrible reception or something, anything like that. Don't get that like twisted at all. It was just so many of these styles of games were floating around that kind of time period of, you had God of War in the rotation, you had Darksiders, you had Dante's Inferno, you had this. So yeah, it's unfortunate because this would just absolutely slap now. You know, people are kind of yearning for a more compact, just give me this pure action kind of thing, Evil West styles of games. So yeah, just a short video, trying to balance out the longer stuff when we're doing the collaborative content where it runs into the, you know, the hour 2 hour mark, and then just the solo stuff, try and keep it short and sweet. So thank you very much for watching. If you somehow stumbled upon here before Brandon, make sure to check out his channel. It'll be linked down below. And if you want to join a Discord with like-minded gamers such as yourself, make sure to pop a comment down below and I'll hit you back with a link. We are actually running a JRPG January event. By the time this goes up, it won't obviously be January anymore, unfortunately. But we are looking to expand to bi-monthly for events. So every 2 months, we'll have an event in the rotation for the Discord. So if that sounds interesting, because we do tons of other stuff as well, but that seems to be catching on quite well at the moment. If that sounds fun, you want to join in with a community and play games and stuff like that, and lightly compete. I wouldn't say like it's it's particularly competitive. It's just kind of gives you an excuse to jump into a particular genre, and just have something to talk about between people. But yeah, if that sounds interesting, make sure to, like I said, pop a comment down below and I'll hit you back with the link. But thank you very much for watching, and hopefully see you in the next one.